We've got breaking news out of the NFL where Aaron Rodgers has been carted to the locker room with an apparent ankle injury in his debut as a Jet. He's officially questionable to return. The future Hall of Famer injured his ankle while taking a sack on his fourth play as a Jet. Zach Wilson now in as New York's quarterback. Instant reaction in studio with the two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden. B-Mac, this is a nightmare to reality. We will not project what the injury is, but we can react to the moment and what you saw. Field to the sideline, tent to the cart, cart to the locker room. Can you take anything away from that?
Devastating to watch, to not have a dog in the race, just watching the game as a casual football fan that, you know, a person who wants to see good football play from both sides, and the anticipation with Aaron Rodgers making this move to New York, to the Jets, the build-up, the hype, the excitement, the moment in the fourth offensive play. The future Hall of Famer is out of the ball game. And it's one thing to be helped off the field to the sideline. It's another thing to go into the blue tent, but it's a whole nother thing to be carted off. And that was basically the sequence of moments that happened with Aaron Rodgers after being tackled for a sack for the New York Jets. And unfortunately, this is the unfair, the brutal part in regards to the NFL. Playing the game of football, injuries happen. We saw that throughout this weekend of a slate of ball games, and unfortunately it happened to one of the bigger names in our sport. And hopefully this is nothing that is super severe, but it was severe enough for him to be carted off to go into the locker room.
Also severe enough to elicit a notable response from Rodgers. Took a moment on the field, sort of looked down at his lower half. Again, not going to say what the injury was, but these athletes, they know their bodies. Could you take anything away from the body language of Rodgers?
He looked to be extremely disappointed. Based on his facial appearance, based on the look on his eyes. If you watched the play, you saw him just sit down for quite some time, and he looked disappointed. And we know instantly if something is super severe, if it's something that I can kind of bounce back from. I've been a guy who's been dealing with injuries throughout my playing days, and there are certain injuries be like, oh man, right, I'll be all right. And those are some there, and there's some injuries be like, oh, I feel some type of way. And that was the look, and you know, clearly Aaron Rodgers was excited to be with this group of guys. We saw, most of us watched Hard Knocks and just saw the togetherness that was displayed episode in, episode out, and just a moment for this team right here, just the hype, because we felt like this is a team that they were one piece away from being a legit championship-like contender, and Aaron Rodgers was that piece. And to have him in the building, and now to see him carted off the football field, like I said, it was devastating to watch, and hopefully it's nothing that is extremely severe that we won't get an opportunity to see number 8 play with the Jets this season.
Box score reads 0 for 1. We hope that is not the end of the box score for tonight for Aaron Rodgers, or for anything beyond that. We'll get back to Rodgers here in a moment, but so much of it surrounding that you've spoken to here, B-Mac, the excitement, the fan base, the team, the way that room changed and the belief within. How do you move forward if you're one of those other 52 guys on this roster trying to win a football game against a divisional foe in a big spot Monday night, week 1 finale primetime?
Next man up mentality. That's always the case for NFL teams. You deal with injuries unexpectedly year in and year out. We see this all the time. So for the New York Jets, even though you might not have Aaron Rodgers for this game, you still have a talented roster. You still have an up-and-coming superstar-like player at the wide receiver position, along with some other experienced vets. You brought in Allen Lazard. You brought in Randall Cobb. You talk about Dalvin Cook. We saw a nice run from Breece Hall to start this game off, so he looks to be healthy. I understand you have some concerns with the offensive line, but everything else has improved dramatically on their team offensively, and you still have one of the more respectable defenses in the National Football League. So this is a team that is more than able to be a competitor in this matchup without Aaron Rodgers, not knowing if he can return. But you just got to get over that initial vibe of seeing your guy get carted off, but you got to bounce back from that extremely fast and go out and put forth together 4 quarters of pretty sound football play.
It is a 3-0 Bills lead inside 3 minutes in the first quarter as we take a look at some of the injury history of Aaron Rodgers. Again, last year was dealing with some toe issues, his final season in Green Bay. Perhaps this is a re-aggravation of that, but it certainly looked to be the ankle that is what the team is calling it. We will continue to bring you the latest here. B-Mac, this is a surface at MetLife that many people have pointed.
A lot of people don't like it.
There is another injury, not knowing the severity, in line with some of the big ones that we've seen in the past. In your experience, and I know the game has changed since your last snap, and I know the surface has even changed since your last snap, but what do you guys talk about? Are there certain conversations about certain playing fields specifically?
We do not like playing on field turf. Heck, I hated practicing on field turf, especially in the colder months of the year. You know, November, December, we used to hate it. And the thing about field turf, and if you watch this injury with Aaron Rodgers,
nowhere to go.
It doesn't give. When you're playing on real grass, grass gives. It kicks up. And that's what you need to give ground for certain type of, you know, muscle alignments, especially in your lower extremities when it comes to your legs and things like that. That's one thing we hate about field turf. And me personally, even though I don't participate anymore, I'm willing to bet if you did a survey with current players that are currently playing the National Football League, they would like to do away with field turf. I understand it's serviceable because you can do a lot of different things on that surface when you have field turf involved, but it's not good in regards to player safety. And I know the NFL, they're extremely dedicated in trying to put forth the best effort for players participating in and out of ball games. That field turf is something that most players do not like, and I'm not saying that's the reason why Aaron Rodgers got injured. We're not saying that, but you brought up a quality question in regards to MetLife. We've seen a lot of lower leg injuries sustained on that surface, and field turf is a major reason, in my opinion, why we see a lot of unknowns happen in regards to injuries, especially to your ankles and to your foot and to your calf and things like that. And most importantly, like I said, it doesn't give. It doesn't give at all.
Just to further detail, MetLife did overhaul that surface in the offseason, put a different field turf in, but still field turf, which players would love to be on the natural stuff. One last one for you here, as we are getting some reporting from MetLife that Aaron Rodgers will undergo x-rays in the near term. We'll continue to bring you that news here on CBS Sports HQ, but opportunity comes in many forms. And this is certainly an opportunity for Zach Wilson to again be the quarterback of the New York Jets, not knowing for how long. What must he do with this opportunity tonight and possibly in the weeks to come?
Well, Joe, I think for Zach Wilson, he has to play the same inspired play that he displayed throughout the preseason. He was one of the bright spots for this team throughout preseason play. He was one of the bright spots on Hard Knocks. Just his ability to learn and ask questions from Aaron Rodgers and be humbled, to say the least. And I think now, knowing that he is the quarterback for this particular ball game, take the same energy and vibe that you displayed throughout preseason and utilize that same mindset for what they need to have from you in tonight's matchup against the Buffalo Bills.
An unfortunate situation unfolding at MetLife. Again, Aaron Rodgers suffering an apparent ankle injury, is undergoing x-rays. We will have that news for you here on CBS Sports HQ as soon as it breaks. Here's a look at the box score. Again, not what any Jet fan expected, not what any fan of football had hoped for. Aaron Rodgers down 4 snaps into his Jet tenure. The Jets trailing 3-0, second quarter in East Rutherford.